Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone who's joining us here on the first day of the UN World Data Forum in Bern, and to everyone joining us online. It's such a pleasure to have this session. Thank you all for joining us to this one called Uncovering Opportunities in Unusual Places, How Countries Are Helping Each Other Leverage Administrative Data for the SDGs. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Jenna Slotin, the Senior Director of Policy for the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data. A few details about today's session. We are really pleased to have Spanish translation for today's session. Anyone who is joining online via the WOVA platform will find a link to Zoom if you want to listen to the Spanish translation. Our colleagues are putting the link right now in the WOVA platform, and you can sign on Zoom to listen to the Spanish translation throughout the event. Listening on WOVA, you will hear the English channel, including for any panelists who speak in Spanish. In the room, we're going to pipe through the interpretation. So when Spanish speakers are speaking, you will hear it in English. So, I'm really excited because we're going to be hearing experiences today from Zanzibar, Ghana, Costa Rica, and Paraguay, all about leveraging administrative records for official statistics. Administrative data is the routine data that's collected by governments and service providers in their day-to-day business. And there is tremendous potential in these bureaucratic records to produce more timely and granular insights, and to have more cost-effective ways of producing these statistics. Administrative data was important before the COVID-19 pandemic because many governments were mining these records to meet the needs of monitoring and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. But when we were confronted with the pandemic, it became even more urgent. And many of our partners have begun innovating at an even more rapid pace to leverage administrative data. And these are some of the experiences that we're going to hear today. Before we hear from our panelists, we have a Slido poll for everyone listening online and in the room. We'll put up the screen now with the link and the question. The question is, how would you use administrative records in new and innovative ways for national recovery after the pandemic? So that question again, how would you use administrative records in new and innovative ways for national recovery after the pandemic? That question, that Slido poll, will be open through the panel discussion. We'll be collecting everyone's input and we'll share the results at the end. So please don't hesitate to keep going and adding your thoughts to that poll. Lastly, before we move to the panel, I'm really excited and honored to be collaborating with the UN Statistics Division and our team at the Global Partnership on the collaborative on administrative data. This collaborative was set up just over a year ago in response to needs coming from National Statistical Offices. And it brings together nearly 25 countries and representatives of international organizations. And the real focus in this collaborative is on sharing experience, learning together, exchanging resources and tools. The collaborative has had numerous learning discussions and peer exchanges, expert clinics, and has produced an inventory of resources on how to leverage administrative data with numerous case studies from all over the world. We'll be sharing the link to that inventory in the chat, and Vibeke here will tell us a little bit more about it. And now, without further ado, I'm pleased to move to our panel discussion. First, we'll hear from Mayasa Mwini, the Chief Government Statistician of Zanzibar. Each of our panelists is going to be responding to 2 questions. We'll go through all panelists in answer to the first question. Each speaker should describe 2 concrete strategies, actions, or partnerships that they have developed to leverage administrative records to respond to COVID-19. So first, Ms. Mayasa, over to you. Welcome from Zanzibar.
Yeah. Thank you, moderator, for giving me this opportunity to share the experience of administrative data for Zanzibar. To respond on the question, we have two strategies. One, the Office of the Chief Government Statistician Zanzibar has joined the Inclusive Data Charter, IDC. Through it, the OCGS has developed 3-year action plan for improving gender statistics. The plan started from 2020 to 2023. This action plan was focused on improving vital statistics, particular marriage and divorces, because Zanzibar will have a good system of reporting birth. More than 80% of the births are recorded. We have an electronic system. All districts are reported birth. But we have a problem now in this area, marriage and divorce. So that's why we focus to have these events. But also other area that we focus in the area of migration and crime statistics. Also, we have a challenge having this information. Therefore, having this plan will help to monitor the progress and improvement of disaggregation data on gender statistics of the mentioned area, that is vital statistics, migration, and crime. And also will overriding the vision to leave no one behind to meet the 2030 agenda. Moderator, the second strategy that Office of the Chief Government Statistician in collaboration with Zanzibar civil registration agents has now begun to collect and update of other vital events. Apart from birth, as I said earlier, that we are good in this area. This event included death, marriage, and divorces across the various districts are currently being updated within the civil registration system in Zanzibar. The civil registration system now is currently linked with the national ID and the district health information system of Zanzibar to have comprehensive and high frequency information on health status of Zanzibar. So as we can see now, we have a good system of registration, but also we have good system, and of course we are an action plan now. For instance, the action plan for improving gender statistics has already been launched, and we are already started improving the implementation of the activity. So we have started maybe doing the assessment to assess the status of gender statistics in this area. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayasa. Really exciting to hear the work that you're doing. We know that vital statistics are incredibly important and that birth and death registration are a key source of administrative records to feed those vital statistics, but very exciting to hear what you're doing in the area of gender as well as crime and migration. So now from East Africa, we'll move to West Africa. We will hear from Emmanuel Botchway from the Births and Deaths Registry of Ghana. Please, can you tell us 2 concrete strategies or actions that you've taken to leverage administrative records in response to COVID-19? Over to you, Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel, it seems like you're muted. Emmanuel, we're not hearing you. I don't know what's happening. We can't hear Emmanuel in the room.
Can you hear us, Jenna?
Yeah, we can hear you, Freddie. Yep.
Okay, because we can hear Manuel.
You can hear him on Zoom.
Yeah.
Thank
Also.
you. Can anyone? Hold on 1 second, Emmanuel. Apparently he's audible on Zoom. It's not coming through. Could we move to the next speaker while you try to sort it out? Perhaps, Emmanuel, we'll move to the next speaker and maybe you log out and log in again or something like that. Okay, we will try to make sure we can hear you momentarily. Okay.
Emmanuel, they're saying, can you please log out and log in again?
Okay. Emmanuel, did you hear us? All right. Please, Emmanuel, log out and log in, and we will move now to Floribel Mendez Fonseca from the National Statistical Office, INEC, of Costa Rica. Please, Floribel, can you please share with us 2 concrete strategies, actions, or partnerships that you've developed to leverage administrative data in response to the pandemic? Over to you.
Hello?
We're also not hearing Floribel. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
She's muted. Floribel is muted. Floribel. You turn on your mic. Okay. Sí.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear now.
It's a pleasure to so the pandemic has led us to reflect on information process alternatives in order to create social-based alternatives. I'm going to discuss 2 actions undertaken by our office. Price statistics have a big potential to make the most of. Mr. Register says alternative data sources. This is something that has been promoted even before the pandemic. Because of the health restrictions and restrictions on the mobility of people, establishments have improved their websites for internet sales purposes. This has been identified in different kinds of establishments, such as restaurant chains, stores, hardware stores, markets, convenience stores. This has great potential as an alternative information source for price purposes. And they have been called purchases, online purchases. We realized how many chains develop applications for selling their goods, particularly restaurant chains, fast food chains. These alternative data sources are now part of international manuals and handbooks. But we've seen that the Costa Rican market accelerated the development. And we feel that this is a huge opportunity. And this is being assessed in order to make the most of it for price indexes, construction indexes, and purchasing power surveys. The pandemic has made clear the potential of these non-traditional administrative registers, and so our institutions have started to work and explore these alternative sources, and to that end, we're using countries that have began to work on this front as a reference or as a benchmark. The second action is that the pandemic has underscored the importance of creating official statistics that are timely, reliable, in order to monitor the progress of COVID-19, as well as for determining actions designed to lessen their impact. The pandemic helped to promote death certificates on digital media by an application which is now being used, which was being partially used. And as a direct result of the pandemic, we began to use this app in order to report COVID-19 associated deaths. And then we began using it to report any sort of death because of the significance and the relevance of this data. Whenever they are timely, we've strengthened coordination, institutional coordination processes, whereby we triangulate data from vital statistics through the use of other administrative registers that are prepared by the Health Surveillance Department at the Ministry of Health and the vast Statistics Department of the Costa Rican Social Security Department. And so the definition of the death causes and other variables, both demographic and social, are so important to understand the factors that have an impact in determining deaths. In order to address this situation, we've integrated these various administrative registers. We have triangulated them in order to integrate them and make better use thereof and a better analysis of the situation, as well as for better decision making. And this has been achieved through the coordination and the collaboration of the institutions. And this has further provided support to better address the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Floribel. It was great to hear about those innovations using online purchasing information to potentially replace purchasing power surveys. Really an exciting innovation, and I think before the pandemic, we all might have thought it's not possible. Also, before the pandemic, we might not have had a hybrid event with translation at the same time. So we're innovating as we speak. Thank you for bearing with us on any audio challenges. We're now going to come back and try to get Emmanuel Bachwe on. Emmanuel comes to us from the Births and Deaths Registry in Ghana. Please, Emmanuel, to answer the question about strategies.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, that is good. Thank you very much for being part of this discussion. Yes, so before the pandemic, there were a lot of initiatives that Ghana was already taking. And one of the areas that we're looking at is the legal framework that establishes the administrative data collection agencies. Yes, I can say now that the registration of the Birth and Death Act has been reviewed and assented, and that is looking at decentralizing the registration of birth and death and strengthening the district level operatives to improve the collection and collation of vital statistics at the district level. It's one of the strategies that have been put in place in the law. Now, the other strategy is to now institutionalize notification, looking at strengthening administrative data. It's looking at notification. Now, notification have become compulsory, and health facilities and outside health facility are now mandated by law to send notification to the birth and death registry to ensure that data is picked right when the event occurs. So you find section 12, section 16 and section 23 talking about that. Now, the other strategy that have been put in place to minimize the rate, the rate at which the citizenry would move to access registration facility is to also institutionalize the CPRP, Community Population Register Scheme. This is now has become law, so it's a strategy that Ghana has put in place to reach out to the populace instead of the population moving to the registry for assistance. In terms of building partnership, there is a strong collaboration. During the peak of the pandemic, there was a high-level advisory board that was formed at a high level of governance, and this has informed the institution of digital registration systems, and then the deployment of online services, reaching out to the public and doing registration digitally. As we speak now, a lot of initiatives have been put in place to implement the digital registration platform very soon. All that needed to be done technologically and administratively has been done. Now, the other strong thing that is being led by the GSS is building a code of ethics. And what the code of ethics is going to do that is going to harmonize the way all administrative data collectors are collecting data. This is to make sure definitions and collation of the data follow a specific format. As we speak now, a draft of the code of ethics is ready and is being reviewed. There have been a lot of stakeholder engagements in that direction. Now, there is a strong collaboration. Currently, there are a lot of integration going on. The national ID system integrating with the birth and death system. There is data pipelines being initiated to ensure that on daily basis, on weekly basis, vital events that are recorded reach the National Statistics Office on time. In terms of the law, the National Statistics Service Act 2019, Section 2053 also speaks strongly about ministries, departments, agencies, and district assemblies submitting to the government statistician administrative data in accordance to what have been spelled out by the law. So we have looked at it from the legal framework point of view. And in terms of collaboration, it has really bonded the institutions that are collecting administrative data. Currently, we are still in the process of mapping out business processes for other data collection, administrative data collection agencies that were not on board the previous project. Currently, we have brought on board the pathology department and we have mapped out their business processes. We have brought on board the homicide unit of the police service. We have brought on board the MPTD unit of the police service, and we've mapped out the prison service and also the ambulance services. We are bringing up all these agencies together because one way or the other, they play a very key role in the administrative data chain, and they have a lot of administrative data that is sitting there. So currently, business process mapping is one of the major strategies we have put in place, and it's building strong collaboration between all stakeholders who have something to do with the collection of administrative data. The good news is that the legal frameworks are being reviewed. Currently, the birth and death registry has been reviewed and been assented. The Statistical Service Act has also been assented as far back September 2019. So these are strategies that we have put in place, and it's working. Practically, we are enhancing mobile registration exercises, and it's one of the strategies that also have been implemented to ensure that we reach out to the communities and ensure we pick up data on real time. In terms of ensuring that administrative data reach out to the statistics service on time, one key thing that the law has been emphatic on is the law have restricted registration to children aged 0 to 5 years. We believe if we did that and we are able to capture children from age 0 to 5 years, we would have credible information to be used to do analysis and also to make informed decisions. So in a summary, these are some of the activities and strategies Ghana have put in place to make sure administrative data is improved and also respond to COVID-19 protocol. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. It was great to hear those main points you highlighted about the legal framework and about partnership and about the code of ethics. So many important steps being taken across government in Ghana. Okay, now we're going to move over to Paraguay, and we'll hear from Ivan Ojeda, the director of INE, the National Statistical Office of Paraguay. Over to you, Ivan.
Gracias, Jenna. Un saludo cordial
Thank you,
a todo el
Jenna.
equipo del
A very warm
Cepei,
greeting to the
dirige la
entire
organización de tan
Cepei team and
importante evento.
TSPDD
Un
for
saludo también a los
organizing this important
panelistas.
event.
Un gusto
A greeting
compartir
also
con
to my
Mayasa, Manuel, Foribel,
panelist colleagues.
En el Paraguay llevamos el
In Paraguay,
40% de indicadores
we're
ODS construidos.
up to
Ahí nos dimos
40%
cuenta de que el
of
60% de la fuente
ODS
de información
indicators
para esta
built. We
construcción
realized that 60% of the
estaba
information
en
for building
registros
this system
administrativos y
was
también para
included
el
in
monitoreo
administrative
del Plan
registers
Nacional de
and also
Desarrollo.
for purposes of
El
monitoring the
proceso
National
de la
Development Plan.
pandemia y el año
The
2020
pandemic
fue un
process and the
desafío
year
gigantesco, pero
2020
también
meant
ha
a
sido una
huge
gran
challenge,
oportunidad
but
para
it has
actualizar el marco
also
normativo del
proven
Paraguay
to
en
be a
materia
huge
estadística.
opportunity to
Luego de
update
78 años,
Paraguay's
hoy el
administrative
Paraguay tiene una
framework.
de las
After
leyes más
78 years,
modernas del
Paraguay now
planeta,
has one of
la
the
Ley
most
de
modern
Modernización del
acts on
Sistema
the
Estadístico
planet,
Nacional y la
the
creación del Instituto
Act on the
Nacional de
modernization of the
Estadística.
National Statistical System.
Todo este contexto nos permitió
All of
introducir
this
en la ley
context
también
enabled us to introduce
conceptualmente lo que son los
also
registros
conceptually
administrativos
administrative
y
registers
también la
in the
parte
Act and
operativa de la
also
implementación de los mismos.
the
Esto en
operational part
paralelo
of the
con la
implementation
elaboración de
thereof. This
una
goes parallel
estrategia
to the
nacional
preparation
de
of a
desarrollo estadístico
nationwide
con un
strategy
componente
for
principal de
statistical
registros
development with a
administrativos
main
en donde
component of
proyectamos
administrative registers
que en los
wherein we
próximos 10
project
años
that
deberíamos
in the
tener
next 10 years we should
registros
have
administrativos estandarizados,
administrative
robustos,
standardized
con controles de
administrative
calidad.
registers that are
En el
robust
marco
and
de la
under quality
pandemia
control
y dada la
measures.
necesidad de
In
un
the midst of the
reporte
pandemic and
rápido
given
y
the
ágil
need
de
to
las
report
estadísticas vitales,
quickly
en el
and
Paraguay
timely
existe
on
una mesa de estadísticas
vital
vitales
statistics, there's a
conformada
working
por
group
el
on
INE, por el Ministerio de Salud
vital
y
statistics
también por el Registro Civil de las Personas.
made up of
Y
the
ahí hemos hecho
NSO
una alianza con el
and
Registro Civil de
the
las Personas
Persons Register. So
para
we've entered into a
diseñar
partnership with the
un
Persons Register
reporte
to
en línea
design
y de manera a
an online
tener en
report
menor tiempo
in
las
order
estadísticas
to
vitales.
have vital
Igualmente, hemos hecho una alianza con
statistics
los
available
componentes del
in
Sistema
lower
Estadístico
times.
Nacional
We've also
y
entered
hemos
into a
realizado
partnership with the
el
components of the
primer
National
inventario
Statistical
de
System,
registros
and we've conducted the
administrativos
very
del
first
Paraguay.
inventory of
Tenemos el diagnóstico completo y
administrative
un plan de
registers in
mejoras
Paraguay.
a
So we
ser
now have the
implementado.
full
Hemos
diagnosis
tomado
and improvement
inicialmente
plan that will be implemented.
19 instituciones,
We currently have 19
53
institutions
programas
engaged,
y
as well
82
as 53
actividades.
programs and
Todo esto también
82
siempre
activities.
asistido por la
This
cooperación
is
internacional
all
que
supported
nos ha
by
mostrado la
international
experiencia
cooperation
de
because they
los
have
países
shared the
en la materia
experience
del
of
desarrollo de registros administrativos.
countries when it comes to
En el
developing
Paraguay
administrative
estamos dando un
registers.
gran salto
In
en
Paraguay,
esta materia y el
we're
COVID nos
taking
ha
a huge step,
evidenciado de
and
la
COVID has
importancia
shown
de
the
contar con
importance
más y mejores
of
datos,
having
con la
more,
profundidad,
better
la
data
amplitud y la calidad
with the
necesaria.
depth,
Finalmente,
the
estamos en
extent,
Berna.
and the quality
Sería
required. Mainly
adecuado
we're in Bern,
recordarnos de este joven de
so
36
we
años
should
que
remember
ideó
this
esta teoría de la
36-year-old
relatividad, Albert
guy
Einstein,
that
que
came up with
decía
this activity.
que
Albert
existe una fuerza
Einstein that used to say
mucho
that
más
there's
importante o
a
relevante que el vapor o la
much greater,
electricidad y es
much
la
more
voluntad
relevant
humana.
force
Yo
than
creo que
electricity, which
ese
is
valor
human
humano
will.
es lo que
And I believe
impulsa
that
cada
this
una de
human
nuestras
value
actividades.
is
Muchas gracias.
what drives each of our activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Really interesting also to hear your insights on the work that you've done on modernizing the statistical system and an inventory of administrative registers. And now with 19 institutions involved, we've heard a really strong theme around partnership and collaboration, which is essential in leveraging administrative records for statistics. So now we're going to do another round of questions with the panelists. A reminder to all our panelists to keep your responses to 3 minutes, please. And for everyone joining us, you can always go to the Slido poll to share your views, as well as asking questions in the WOVA platform online. The next round of questions is about lessons learned and next steps. All the speakers will reflect on what have they learned about these strategies and actions that they've taken. And what are the next steps to continue leveraging administrative records in the post-pandemic period? So we'll go back to start with Ms. Mayasa to hear your reflections. Please, over to you.
Thank you, moderator, for the question. We have learned that using this administrative data will reduce the cost because normally we rely on surveys because of the bad system of administrative data. But through this plan, we have managed to learn. We have now, for instance, we have data on crime statistics reporting in monthly basis. So this is one of the opportunity for this strategy. But also we have learned that the information will be available at a high frequency, meaning that even the monthly, quarterly, for instance, now we have data in the system, data on civil registration connected with the health information system. With this period of COVID-19, the government has managed to use the data for interventions such as procurement, administration, monitoring, and evaluation of COVID-19 vaccine. This is an opportunity. Secondly, but also we have some challenges because lack of good system in various or some sectors hinder the leverage of administrative data in Zanzibar. For instance, the lack of interoperability between the various administration data sources hinder the comprehensive collection, processing, and usage of administrative data recorded in Zanzibar. On response of what are the next step? Now, Tanzania, we have started preparation and implement the second Tanzania Statistical Master Plan. The main focus on this plan, of this plan is to strengthen administrative data. The project is a 5-year project started from 2021 up to 2026. So in this project, one of the activity is to complete infrastructure and upgrade and to make the civil registration system link with other sectoral administrative data recorded in support vital data accessibility, data downloaded, and data used by 2024. Another next step is continue to implement the 2020-23 action plan for strengthening gender statistics. Now we have of course, we will put some of the activities that mentioned in that plan in the Tanzania Statistical Master Plan, but also we are looking for other partners to join and support this the plan. And another step, Office of the Chief Government Statistician now has developed the database called the Unified Database. The purpose of this database is to link all data for Zanzibar. We have started as a pilot. We link all data within the Office of the Chief Government Statistician, and we have started the pilot. We choose two ministries. We choose Ministry of Education that at least they have a system, but also we choose the Ministry of Health. So we already linked with them. But the target is to make sure all sector is linked with the OCGS database so that the government and other partners will manage to access data administratively in this system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really exciting to hear the next steps that you're taking. So now we'll go over to Floribel and we'll ask you to reflect on your lessons and next steps. Over to you.
One minute, please. Well, in order to make the most of administrative registers, the NSO is working on two separate aspects. One, to handle the strategy for dealing with administrative registers within the NSO. To that end, we succeeded in getting the support of StatCan through some contacts made with Cepei. We had a very valuable experience exchange in order to further assess the strategy and make the most of institutional administrative registers. In order to do this, we're following on some significant general lines in order to create this strategy. One of them is to prevent effort duplication when working with administrative registers, that is to centralize these administrative registers in a single department. We also need to be clear that every single administrative register should be promoted by two essential principles. One is need and proportionality. And there's also one more very important aspect when dealing with administrative registers, which is the ability to ensure the confidentiality of the information. Also, we need to ensure access to information, and to that end, we need to set formal agreements with information suppliers or providers. They should become partners of our NSO. We should have good relationships throughout time with those partners. We have a data linkage setting in order to compare personal data with statistical data in order to have a reliable, safe linkage infrastructure that will allow us to identify administrative data in order to replace them by statistical identifiers. And also a significant thing is the computer science part, because we need to conduct research on new tools that will allow us to conduct technology processes that are up to date, particularly if we want to have an integrated administrative register system. As for the second front that we're working at INEC, we need to strengthen administrative registers within the National Statistical System. Along this project, and because of the importance of administrative registers, 62% of statistical operations are based on administrative registers. And so, to our office, it is necessary to undertake actions designed to strengthen these administrative sources, which are and will continue to be essential in producing official statistics. So we're working on the design of a tool to collect data that will enable us to create an administrative register inventory and to be able to have that inventory uploaded onto the National Statistical System's website. We also want to implement a tool to capture information on quality criteria linked to the different stages of development of administrative registers, and to that end, we've developed a methodology to prioritize registers, and we also need to have an exchange with administrative register producers in order to improve the quality thereof. We're also working on some regulations designed to strengthen administrative register production as well as communication between register producers, the NSO, and the National Statistical Systems institutions. We've identified three significant challenges. One is to have information available as to how the various administrative registers are produced, as well as raising awareness amongst those responsible for this data in order for them to see the importance of using administrative registers to produce official statistics, as well as design a methodology to improve the quality of administrative register databases, and also to provide regulations for both register producers and statistics producers that will make for a better use of these administrative sources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So many exciting next steps that we're hearing about. So as we move over to hear from Emmanuel and Ivan, I'm going to throw a few other questions into the mix that have come in through the online platform. Emmanuel, you've received a number of questions related to the changes that you've made in Ghana to the Statistical Act, and how that helped improve the process of leveraging administrative data. What was the problem before and how did that work? So perhaps if you could reflect on that. We've also had questions related to whether anyone on the panel is looking at transnational organized crime and corruption, and questions about the relationship or integrating data from hyperlocal, local, regional, and national levels, which is incredibly important when speaking about administrative records. So a lot of challenges there. So now, Emmanuel, we'll go to you to hear a bit about these next steps and some answers to these questions. Thank you.
One of the lessons that we have learned is that there is enough data out there. There is a lot of administrative data lying in silos in agencies that are collecting administrative data. And when these data are crystallized and the whole statistical framework is looked at, there will be quality data that can be used for socioeconomic planning. The way forward is for us to continue to build partnership with all the agencies that are collecting a form of administrative data, especially in order for us to attain goal 16.9, providing legal identity for all, including free birth registration by 2020. We're looking at strengthening the collaboration between the registry and the health sector in terms of notification. And then also the deployment of digital registration platforms, and also intensify mobile registration exercises, and ensure that district assemblies implement community population registers at the various districts and the various community. We believe if we did this, there will be timely, reliable information at all times. And leveraging on technology it's a way we're looking at to harmonize all the administrative data that are coming from the various agencies. Currently, we are reviewing the data collection instruments, which is led by the Statistics Office, looking at each agency and the kind of data they are collecting, and harmonizing the definitions and harmonizing the formats in which the data are collected. We believe if we go this way, administrative data will be improved, the quality will be improved, and it will be timing for projection making, and then making decisions on developmental and economic planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Great that you were able to capture some of those questions that were asked in the chat. So now, Ivan, over to you to hear a little bit about your lessons learned and next steps, please.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Más porque nos subimos a hombros de gigantes, diría
Well,
Isaac Newton.
we
El aprovechar la
adopted a
experiencia
giant's
de los
role, as
países,
Newton
el
would say, to
aprovechar
make the
el
most of the
acompañamiento
experience of the
internacional de
countries,
las
to make
agencias.
the most
También
of the
nos hizo ver el
internationals
potencial que
of
tienen los registros
international
administrativos.
agencies, to
En
look at the
primer lugar,
potential of
porque ya tienen
administrative
financiamiento.
registers. First
Este
of all,
recurso que
because you
siempre es
get
escaso para las
financing,
oficinas de
this
estadísticas del mundo.
resource is so
Sin
important
embargo, nos
to
dimos cuenta
global statistics offices. However, we realize that these administrative registers need to be standardized. They need to be produced under quality framework so that we can reach that interoperability level. We're also planning that for the upcoming population and housing census. We know that some countries have made headway on this, and we have the challenge of conducting the survey next year, 2022. As long as the pandemic will allow us to do so. So as far as administrative registers, we need to put in place a big innovation, which is that for the first time in Paraguayan history, we'll have an ID number for each person, and this will be the key variable and will allow us to better operate our database. And this, of course, will always be covered by statistical confidentiality. Finally, we are learning continuously. This is why we celebrate this meeting, and we are making ourselves available to share our experience in Paraguay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. And it's a great pleasure to learn from Paraguay's experience and to learn from the experiences of Zanzibar, Ghana, and Costa Rica as well. So now what we're going to do is I'm very pleased to have Vibeke here with us. Vibeke Ostrich-Nielsen is from the UN Statistics Division, and she's working very hard on the collaborative on administrative data that I described earlier. And she's going to reflect on the different presentations and offer some thoughts from that work. Please, Vibeke.
Thank you, Jenna. Can you hear me? Yes. So as Jenna was introducing in the beginning, we started this collaborative on administrative data a little bit more than a year ago, and we now have more than 25 countries that are discussing with us in this collaborative, and I think also around 25 different regional and international agencies. And some of the countries that have presented here are also members of the collaborative. The collaborative is really also about experience exchange. So the session we are having here today is very much in line with how we're working in this collaborative. We have been sharing a lot of different experiences. The focus has been mostly on that. I think it will be put in the chat here now, a link to the pages of the collaborative where you also can find an inventory of resources, where you can see more experiences from other countries. And I think what we've heard today from the 4 countries is reflecting a lot of the activities that are also ongoing in other countries. There's a lot of focus now on the use of administrative data. What is also quite interesting to see is that through a survey that the UN Statistics Division has recently conducted together with Paris 21 and the World Bank, it's the Cape Town Global Action Plan Implementation Review. There was a question on, the question was formulated as follows: to modernize the National Statistical System, what are the priority areas where the NSO plans to invest its capacity? And 89% of the NSOs that responded said that administrative data and statistical registers were among the areas that they wanted to focus on, and it basically came on top. And as we hear here from the countries, I think they bring about a lot of different aspects of work, and a lot of the different challenges that they're struggling with, but also finding solutions, learning from each other, and kind of trying to really work together within the countries and across countries to improve the use of administrative data for statistics purposes. We heard countries have renewed their legal frameworks to be able to access the data more easily, to be able to communicate more easily across agencies, creating partnerships, as we heard from Ghana, for instance. We also heard that quite a few of the countries are putting in place strategies. I think that is a very good idea and a good plan to kind of have strategies on this, agree among the partners on how to implement it, how to follow up and agree on prioritization and take which approaches to take. But we've also heard in the coordination aspect that there's still a lot of things to learn, and in both ways, I think. The statistics side probably has to learn more about the needs on the administrative owner side, but the administrative owners also need to learn more about the statistics needs. And I think something that was mentioned, for instance, here by Paraguay is the standards, the need to set standards and agree on standards and definitions, which again links very much to quality. And then it's the other piece around interoperability, data linkage, that I think also a lot of countries are working on and that we heard here from some of the countries. And it really reflects what we are discussing in the collaborative. And you will, as I said, find more examples. We're also running so-called expert clinics where countries come together to discuss experiences. They're also made available online. And if any of you here want to join, want to participate in the discussions that we're having, you're welcome to do so. And with that, I think I'll hand back to you, Jenna, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Vibeke. And we're going to wrap up now. Thank you to everyone for listening and to our panelists. Thanks for the great collaboration with you in Stats Division on the collaborative on administrative records. But I would be remiss also if I didn't thank Cepei, our strong partner in Latin America, who did a lot of work behind the scenes to make this session possible, along with my colleague Karen, but also who are key partners in the collaborative on administrative records and doing a lot of work to engage our colleagues in Latin America and the Caribbean. So now we'll hear from Freddie Rodriguez of Cepei to provide some closing remarks. Over to you, Freddie.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you everyone that is in Bern and also virtually joining this session. We're very happy to actually share those experiences and to be able to bring this to the equation of administrative data. So some elements also to as takeaway of the session is that even though we've been discussing for several years about administrative records for statistical purposes, there is still a great opportunity to take advantage of these data sources, especially when we discuss about the SDGs. So I think it was also a challenge with the SDGs, an ambitious agenda that came into place for the NSOs and for other ministries and institutions producing data. But then we also have COVID coming in and also creating new challenges for countries to have better data and also to be able to have closer cooperation within the institutions at the national level, but also at the regional and global level. And there's another element that I have as a takeaway. We shouldn't work alone. So we have to have better strategies to work together within the country again, but also to have North-South cooperation. South-South cooperation is a good example since we also have common challenges and we need to have adaptations to also create capacities based on the lessons learned from others, and especially on the things that haven't worked very well, but are important to highlight, especially for those countries that are starting some processes on admin data. The other element is the administrative data collaborative. So Vibeke just mentioned that we have this collaborative for over a year, which actually has brought a lot of experiences as well from different countries, but also the experiences of other institutions as well. So, So my internet was actually asking me to connect and to plug on my computer. So sorry about that. It happens in 2021 as well. So, and then finally, also on behalf of GPSDD, we are very grateful to have you on this session. We talk about the experiences from country, but also how we can continue this collaboration. We more than welcome the collaboration through the collaborative on admin data that is working on different fronts, and also how we can strengthen capacities in other countries that are indeed working on admin data, but they don't know how much information is behind on the line ministries or other agencies that are actually by law are producing information. Then finally, also to mention a special thanks to Jorge that is doing the translation. And today is actually, as Jenna was mentioning, we wanted to bring different actors and to break the barrier, the language barrier. So we have a Spanish and English translation, and hopefully in the future, this will be more common so that the challenges of language are feasible to break as well. So nice afternoon for the ones in Bern, and also good morning and evening for others in different parts of the world. Thank you, and back to Jenna.
Thank you so much, Freddie. I think some of the themes that have come out today is that leveraging administrative data to produce official statistics really comes down to collaboration and partnership, some really important technical challenges, but many countries are innovating. A big thank you to Cepei, to the UN Statistics Division for the collaboration in this effort. A huge thank you to our panelists who joined us from all around the world and in the room. A thank you to everyone who joined us online and the participants here in the room. A thank you to the technicians in the back of the room who made the translation possible, along with Jorge, who did the interpretation online. Really a feat of our 2021 technology and our pandemic learning. So it's really been a pleasure to be here. We have heard a lot from all of you on the Slido poll, highlighting new and innovative approaches for better using administrative data for official statistics, a lot of emphasis on learning and good practices, a lot of emphasis on using that more timely and granular data for planning and implementation. So not just for monitoring, but for making decisions in real time and ensuring that decisions are evidence-based. We do have a feedback poll for this session, which will be shared on the online platform in WOVA, as well as in Zoom. So anyone who's listened today, we strive to be data-driven in all of our work and want to hear from you how we can improve our sessions in the future. Please take the feedback poll. Thank you to everyone, and have a lovely morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are. Thank you.